And let's bring in Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso for more on this. Antonio, thank you for being here. What's happening on the municipal level right now to try to help the investigation to find the suspect?
Well, just a couple of minutes ago, a notice was sent out to everyone through text in New York City with the information regarding the suspect's description. And that's one way that's going to be helpful. I think there's all hands on deck when it comes to elected officials right now that are talking to news stations, news cameras, radios, anybody that would listen to us so we can get this information out on who the suspect is. And it's all hands on deck right now to try to figure out and find the suspect.
What can you tell us about the victims and their conditions right now?
So what we have right now is very limited information, but what we know is that there were people that were shot, but no one has passed away. There's a couple that are in serious condition, but again, are looked to recover. So at this point, the information we have is that there will be no fatalities. As of now, there are no fatalities regarding this incident. So again, just a very fortunate situation, and we're extremely lucky that no one died during this attack.
That's for sure. And the MTA says that it installed cameras in all 472 subway stations throughout the city less than a year ago. So why weren't the cameras at the 36th Street station working? And what's being done to try to make sure that that problem is fixed?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure right now the New York City Council is starting to talk about putting together a hearing as to what happened and what failed in this attack and what we can do to improve it. It is the fact that these cameras are not working is of a large concern to us. There's a lot of investments being made in this city to keep us safe, and these cameras go a long way to getting us there. And the fact that they weren't working is troublesome. The information we're getting right now is that there's a lot of unhappy folks in the mayor's office regarding this issue, and that it's something that they're looking to address. But should this attack have not happened, we would have never known that these cameras were inoperable. So there's a lot of work to do in the city now to check every camera, make sure they're all working, and also a deeper dive into what happened and what we can do in the future to ensure that this doesn't happen.
The shooting also happened despite a recent push from Mayor Adams to put more police officers in the subway station. There were no cops stationed at that particular station yesterday morning. So what more can be done to keep the subway safe?
Look, I think we have to put things into perspective. In the city of New York, there are more officers in the train stations now than they have been over the last decade. There are more resources given to the NYPD than any other agency here comparably in the city of New York. The more cops is not necessarily going to solve for this problem. I think there are root causes to this violence that exists, mostly mental health at this point is what we're seeing in New York City. And that's where we should be spending resources and energy. More cops to respond to a crime won't necessarily stop the crime. In this case, this individual was inside a train cart. Unless you believe that you can put a police officer in every single train cart in New York City, which is physically impossible and not practical, then that's not the way we're going to solve that issue. In that train cart, the people were shot, and then after they came out, the police responded to it. So what we need to do is start getting to the causes of the violence and not just respond to the violence. And having conversations with the mayor, hoping that there are other resources we can provide to other agencies outside of the NYPD so we can start dealing with the mental health crisis that we have in our hands here in New York City.
And you're talking about a crisis that's not only happening on the subway systems, but in the city in general. And when you look at the city, Brooklyn in particular, people are on edge right now, particularly with this suspect still on the loose, but also knowing that this is happening amid a general increase in violence. So what message do you have for both residents of New York City, but also visitors?
Yeah, look, New York City, and look, what I'm going to say right now is going to be difficult for some folks to comprehend because it's a perception versus reality. We have data and information that shows that we are still the safest big city in all of America. And we are a safe city. We have crime at historic lows still, at historic lows. But the way we receive information now and the way we retain information, which is instant through Instagram, through Twitter, through TV, makes it so that there's a perception of this lawlessness and this criminal activity and this unsafe haven, unsafe place, but it isn't. At this point, New York City is as safe as it's ever been. There is some work that we need to do. I want the public to know that any life lost to crime is a life too many. So we have work to do to make sure that we continue to fight to get to zero when it comes to crimes. But there's a perception now that it's hard to beat back when you see cases like this. It's hard for me to tell people to go back into the subway and that they would be perfectly safe when they just saw what happened. But the reality is that the subway stations are still safe and that New York City is safe. And I'm hoping that through information, data, and statistics that people see, that they would join me in my understanding of what I consider, again, the safest big city in America.
All right, Brooklyn Borough President Antonio Reynoso, thank you for your time today.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.